One very useful tool that I use with clients when they want to integrate their power and kindness and really work on that fear of power and work with some of the shadow elements that might be showing up as they start to step into that power more is a very simple 3-2-1 shadow process, which comes from integral theory. It's a simple little process. You can do it on your own, you can do it with a coach or a facilitator. But basically, once you've identified that part of you which you know could take over and be powerful in an evil way, maybe it's part of you that you can kind of sense, if I had power, I'd use it for domination. I'd use it for world power. You know, great example. So how would you work with the 3-2-1 process with that? Well, first up, you need to do it in the third person. That's the first step. And the third person means putting it outside of yourself. It's a shadow element. It's been repressed. It's in the darkness. It's kind of behind you. But we want to bring it out, put it in front of you, make an object out of it. So that's the first part of an exercise like this. Put that power out in front of you. Call it evil power, domination power. Give it a name that feels right for you, for the kind of power you're most afraid of in yourself. Put it out in front of you and look at it. What do you see? How big is it? What color is it? Is it moving? What does it look like? Is it an ogre? Is it a monster? Is it actually really small? Could be anything. Like, trust your intuition, and as you put it outside of yourself and you start to look at it, describe it. Make an object in your awareness out of it. That's the 3 part. The 3-2-1, next stage is the 2, is you need to get into a dialogue with it. Make it a second person perspective. So actually start talking to it. And again, you could do this with the help of a coach or a therapist, or you can actually just do it journaling, where you would actually write down the different voices, where you might say, what do you want? World domination power. Why are you here? Why am I afraid of you? Why have I put you in the shadow? What do you want from me? And ask it a series of questions. Get curious about this part of you that you're so ashamed of, that you've pushed down into the shadows, maybe for many, many years. Create a dialogue with it. And imagine what it would say back to you. What do you want, world dominating power? Why are you there? Why am I scared of you? And ask it some questions. Gain that relationship with it. And it will start to become less scary, because you might actually start to realize it has a good intention for you. And you've been missing that by keeping it in the shadow. Now the third part of the process, the 1, is now bringing it back in to a first-person perspective, but a conscious first-person perspective. So imagine what it would be like to take that world-dominating power back into yourself, but consciously. How would it be, once you found out what it really wants for you, which is normally a good intention, to bring that back in and integrate it back into the body consciously? Like, where does it want to live? Does it want to be in your heart? Does it want to be in your arms to give you strength? Does it want to be in your voice to give you more power when you speak? And actually, by doing that process, objectifying it, dialoguing with it, bringing it inside, it suddenly becomes an ally. It's no longer this scary thing that's outside of us that we're trying to hide from everyone else. We can't admit that. It's the worst thing we could admit. But we learn to befriend it, and we learn to take it inside, and we learn to use it consciously. Because that's power. So much of the time, these fearful parts of ourselves that we don't want to show, we don't want to admit, we don't even want to admit to ourselves, are actually where our power lies. It's actually an ally that can be there with us, that can really help us in the world, but consciously. So that's the 3-2-1 process. Do some research on it. There's plenty of websites where you can go into this a little bit more and find the detailed process. But it's a great tool for integrating power, and one of the many tools I use as a coach and consultant.